So understand the excitement which is going through in everybody's mind by receiving the degree and looking ahead, what next thereafter. So let me go through the motion. So respected Shri Vishwamohan Bansalji, Chairman NDIM, respected Justice BP Singh, Director NDIM, Dr. Gauri Modwal, Director NDIM, Board of Directors, Vice Chancellors and ex-VCs, friends from industry, corporate and academia, faculty members, they are the gurus, esteemed graduating students of NDIM, proud parents, friends from media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and Jai Hind to everyone. Firstly, thank you very much for inviting me here today. It's truly a privilege to share this special day with some total of 500 graduating students of NDIM, and I am told physically approximately 315 are present here. That's a great achievement of making these many people coming, in spite of leaving their job for a day and coming here. So, as I understand, you have already stepped into your professional journeys in diverse sectors of our economy, 13 study disciplines and 16 sectors of profession. The fact that you have traveled back to attend this convocation shows how much this movement means a day of pride, fulfillment, and celebrations. The NDIM has over the years emerged as the benchmark of excellence and purpose, recognized by AICTE and CII, honored by ASSOCHAM and FICCI. NDIM's distinction lies not merely in accolades, but in its ability to blend learning with industry relevance and innovation. Its elevation as India's first mentor institute in management education stands as a proud testament to its leadership in nurturing professionals and entrepreneurs who will power the nation's growth in the years ahead. From the Fauji perspective, NDIM is the only B school partnered by Global Counter-Terrorism Council, and I am happy to note that defense veterans are part of the faculty grooming students to company-specific soft skills and corporate etiquettes for 400 hours. It's a pleasant surprise that defense veterans are teaching the soft skills, though they are the proponents of the hard skill. So when I first received the invite for this convocation, I must confess I paused for a moment to think, what could I possibly say to such young and bright business management minds of our country? And as I read more about the NDIM, one of the institute's mission caught my attention, which reads, to nurture effective decision makers and leaders with global outlook and conviction. It offered the perfect anchor for what I wanted to share with you today. So that call for effective decision making with a global outlook is especially relevant today as the world refuses to stand still and change has become the defining rhythm of our age. So in my professional journey of almost 4 decades, I have witnessed change not from the sidelines, but from within. As Bansal sir has said, today I am leading a community of approximately 1.3 crore soldiers, veterans and families. That happens to be the 1% of the Indian population. So as I often tell my friends in the corporate world, that while they handle a few hundred resumes, we handle a few million lives who are ready to walk into the hail of bullets on your one clarion call. And that is why I chose to speak to you today on the theme of navigating change, the real constant. So why this theme? Because in this age of acceleration which you and me are going through, you too will find that the hardest equations are not in finance or analytics, but in understanding the change itself. How do you bring teams together when change becomes the new normal? These are the questions not of the army or the corporate world alone. They are questions of our times. If change is the only true constant of our times, the real question is, what has changed in the world we live in, the world in what truly drives this? So I'll just tell you 2 things as far as the Indian Army is concerned, which is different from the Air Force and Navy, because Air Force looks at technology as the USP, Navy looks at the platform, we look at the human resource because we are human resource centric. So here the human resource is empowered by the technology. And now if you look at what is the convergence with the Industry 5.0. If you see Industry 4.0, it was looking at purely technology, though transformative. But the Industry 5.0 has carried out a rebalancing by the human touch. So the efficiency has to share space with the personalized, sustainable and ethically generated experience. And that is where we need to converge on. So it's around this what I wish to share my thoughts through three interlinked sub-themes: evolving global dynamics, technology as a disruptive force, and reflections for the road ahead. As you are aware, at the close of 20th century, after the fall of Berlin Wall and balkanization or so-called dissolution of the USSR, many believed that a new era had dawned. Historian John Lewis Geddes described this as the era of the long peace, sustained by nuclear deterrence and a liberal order making wars obsolete. In economics and management thought, Francis Fukuyama of US advanced a parallel thesis, the end of history, a word supposedly destined to be ruled by market liberalism and open global commerce. For a while, the spirit of Pax Americana and the notion that the world is flat, that is Thomas Friedman, promised stability, reflecting doctrine of shareholder value maximization. Yet as the 21st century unfolded, long peace yielded to a contested landscape of competition, contestation and conflict, as across the world today, over 55 conflicts rage on, drawing in more than 100 nations, directly or indirectly, therefore blurring the boundaries between the peace and the conflict. And as battlefields blurred, so did the markets. The rise of nationalism, protectionism, and sanctions led to the emergence of geoeconomics, a framework articulated by Edward Luttwak, who described it as the logic of war expressed through the grammar of commerce. I say it again, the logic of war expressed through the grammar of commerce. Now, why it is important? Because today the 6 chapters of the grammar book, which is different from Rain and Martin, contains cooperation, collaboration, coexistence, competition, contestation, and the conflict itself. So these are the 6 C's which you and me have to know together, because in our strategic dealings also we deal with these 6 C's, and you also in your future will be dealing with it. So if one were to search for the single most defining driver behind these global shifts, it could be summed up in one word: technology. Just as technology has transformed warfare, ranging from muddy trenches to intelligent networks, rifles to drones, boots to bots, it has also revolutionized the businesses, from shampoo sachets by Mr. Chinni Krishnan to Gemini by Sundar Pichai. So that is how the changes are taking place. In the military, we speak of 5 generations of warfare, each defined by technology. In the world of enterprise, I see 4 waves of disruption driven by the very same force. The first wave, the digitization of things, turned books into e-books and cameras into smartphones. The second, the rise of alternatives, moved retail aisles to e-commerce with platforms like Amazon and Flipkart. And the third, the reimagining of businesses, created networks like Uber and Ola that changed the very idea of service. And the fourth, the Indian digital revolution is unfolding right here at home, where UPI achieved 18 months, what they achieved in 18 months, what cards took 18 years to do. So it's all about the volume, the spread and the speed. So, but even as technology transforms at lightning speed, the real challenge is not just keeping up with the change. It is learning to think differently about it. As the legendary Peter Drucker once observed, the greatest danger in times of turbulence is not the turbulence itself, but to act with yesterday's logic. So we often tend to think with our last qualifications. So whatever you receive today is your last qualification now, and you have to upgrade from hereafter. So reflections for the road ahead. So how do you prepare for a world that is changing faster than the forecast can capture? This brings me to the final part of my talk, reflections for the road ahead for you. So I may not come from the world of business, but I still handle nearly rupees 2.5 lakh crore Indian Army budget, including procurement. Therefore, I fully understand pressures, risks, and responsibilities. From that experience, I'd like to share a few reflections as you step into the changing world. Opportunity in turbulence. Let me begin with one that has served the Indian Army well: the ability to find opportunity in uncertainty. In 1971, when turmoil in erstwhile East Pakistan turned a tide of refugees creating regional instability, India turned crisis into liberation, reshaping the subcontinent's destiny. So, as Warren Buffett has said, he has usually made his best purchases when the apprehensions about some macro events were at peak. So, fear is the foe of the farthest, but the friend of the fundamentalists. So, I am not quoting this, some other one is quoting. So, tomorrow if you buy the shares, don't blame me. So, the adaptation, recognizing opportunity is one thing, responding to it is another. And that response begins with the courage to embrace change before it compels you to change. When I was commissioned into the army, computers were nowhere in the horizon in our army. And here I stand today leading an army that applies data sciences and AI in modern warfighting. And let me quote, when it comes to the crisis, adaptation to crisis is equally important. And Rabindranath Tagore said, तूफान को रोक नहीं सकते पर नाव की दिशा तो बदल सकते हैं. So what it means, opportunity or crisis, you have to adapt to both. So what in Indian Army we are doing about it? Answer lies in futuristic change management or transformation. Our transformation journey includes restructuring our forces for greater agility, deepening jointness with Navy, Air Force and other domains, accelerating modernization through cutting-edge technologies, reforming human resource system, and continuously refining our system processes and functions to enhance efficiency and responsiveness. So as they say, that change must come with velocity of relevance. And we have identified 5 pillars which I have just explained you to make sure that you are part of that velocity of relevance. So for us, managing time, space and resources effectively is critical, and it's a journey that academia and industry are playing a pivotal role. We together are a troika, and you can contribute wherever you are, you go in near future. Now the next one I am talking about the accelerated innovation. If you remember that Prime Minister recently gave a call which is all over the news to the defense forces of the jointness, Atmanirbharta and innovation. And I was listening to the interview on CNBC of Mr. Ramesh Wadhwani. You all must be knowing him better than me. And he talks about innovations are no more relevant. It is the accelerated innovation which are important. So I have added this word accelerated before that. As adaptation alone is not enough. So only those who adapt can truly innovate. In both war and business, survival now depends on constant reinvention. The world's largest transport company, Uber, owns no vehicles. The biggest retailer, Amazon, has no storefronts. Their strength lies in assets, not in assets, but in ideas. So military leader looks at 3 intertwined aspects of the future warfare: force application, force preservation, and force visualization. I'll just talk about the ability to visualize. The adaptation innovation mean little without imagination. So in army, visualization means anticipating how warfare will change or unfold and preparing before the change arrives. Operation Sindoor reflected that foresight, a response shaped not in the moment, but through years of imagining how intelligence, precision and technology could converge into action. So the same holds true in business. 15 years ago, a billion-user enterprise seemed unthinkable. Yet today, Google, Apple, YouTube, WhatsApp operate at that scale. So in the event of uncertainty or fog of war, we encourage in the military risk-taking and active engagement with uncertainty vis-a-vis procrastination, which is an avoidance strategy. Moving ahead, the passion. Vision alone is never enough. It needs the fire to make it real. Between imagination and implementation lies passion, as passion is difference between an idea that fades and a vision that endures. Therefore, it has to be passion with purpose, as purpose acts as an anchor. So purpose, humility and trust are the 3 anchors I look at as mandatory for all leaders. Purpose is the reason you are here, the force that gives meaning to what you do. When President Kennedy once asked a NASA janitor what he was doing, the man replied, "Mr. President, I am helping put a man on the moon." That is the purpose. But true purpose for a leader goes further. It is not just what drives you, but what you inspire in others. When people around you see their effort as a part of a shared mission and vision, purposes become power. Moving ahead to the humility, which I added because there was a book presented to me by our own Bansal sir, The Power of Humility by P.V. Ramamurthy. So humility is basically purpose gives direction, humility gives depth. Jim Collins, in studying the world's most enduring companies, found that their best leaders combined fierce resolve with quiet humility. I have seen the same in uniform, leading an organization of engineers, doctors, lawyers, and combat professionals. Humility reminds us that no rank, role, or resume makes one immune from learning, because when you stop listening, you stop learning. We all are equally draw inspirations from few important personalities, Mr. Ratan Tata, V.M. Bansal sir, and Field Marshal Cariappa, who is our first chief, and of course, General George C. Marshall, known for the famous Marshall Plan. Some of you may be aware, and he was responsible for the recovery of the Europe post World War II. The third one is the trust. And so, humility in turn builds the foundation of trust. In a 12 lakh men army who are serving today, with 6 command layers from Chief of Army Staff to the commanding officer, micromanagement is neither possible nor productive. What works is a macro management, that is the conceptual guideline, yet micro awareness. Whether on the battlefield or in the boardroom, speed and success come not from the control, but from the trust. Your ability to identify the sweet spot between the centralized, controlled, and delegation, while owning up the accountability or ownership for all actions or results, whether good or bad. This is what makes you a great leader. Ops Sindoor was a trusted orchestra where every musician played a simultaneous or synergistic role. That is how in 22 minutes we could destroy 9 terrorist targets, and we could in 88 hours make sure that the battle comes to an end. But what is more important, there was no time for decision making had we not visualized and had we not trusted the entire team. So as you step forward today, remember the world will never stand still. Markets will shift, technology will evolve, and your own ambitions will also change. Yet within that motion lies your greatest strength, the courage to learn, the agility to adapt, and the vision to lead with the purpose. Change is not what happens to us, it's what we choose to become through it. Congratulations once again, and may you lead with wisdom, humility, and heart. Dhanyavad, Jai Hind.